wanna cry. wanna cry.
After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.
Sound Art introduces an entirely new way to listen to music in your home. By combining the best of two products, a revolutionary high-fidelity, low-profile Bluetooth wireless speaker with beautiful artwork. Select from a library of artwork or upload your own photos to personalize your experience. Sound Art ushers in an era of invisible, beautiful, and amazing sound throughout your home and redefines your entire entertainment system. The need to reclaim your floor space and rid your home of unsightly speaker boxes that need to be bolted to the wall is now a thing of the past. Our canvas is printed on high-quality permalite by Breathing Color. And select from our gallery or upload your own. Standard sizes include 16 by 20 and 18 by 24 canvas wrapped. Custom sizing is available, as well as surround sound options.
It was a rough week at Kokomo for Travis Miller. You could even see it blindsided the number 22 team, but you can't erase his points lead that easily. Andrew Clark picked up another big win in Indiana and may just have what it takes to make a points comeback at the fast Volusia Speedway Park. Hello and welcome to Pit Stop TV. I'm Andrew Cardinale IV with Joe Donahue. And Joe, welcome to the new year and welcome back to Volusia.
And that's the big headline indeed, Andrew. Welcome back to Volusia. For the first time with this series, we're returning to Volusia this season. The second race we had this event, the second race of the first half. It's the second race of the second half of this season. I think that's going to be something these drivers are going to use to their advantage tonight. A little bit of experience this season already, but a lot has changed since that second race at the beginning of this season here with the big blocks.
You're right, a lot has changed, and I think this league as a whole has grown a lot. There's been a lot of budding rivalries kind of popping up, most notably, of course, between Brett Rolls and Jamie Porter. That kind of started way back at Knoxville about a month or so ago. But yeah, there's been a lot that's changed, a lot that's evolved with this series. And the best part is, we get to kind of take you through a bit more of that evolution. I wanted to say evolvement because involvement, but no, evolution. we get a bit more of that evolution this evening. And it's been a whole lot of fun watching these guys grow for yet another season, with the BRP iRacing series. Let's take a look at our point standings this evening. Travis Miller, I mentioned you can't erase his points lead that easily. He's still got 3 points back. The two-time winner on the season, Brandon Plank. Brett Roll sitting back there in third, looks pretty good, but Andrew Clark now within 40. This is almost striking distance with 6 races to go.
Yeah, and Andrew Clark's been doing very well lately. Obviously, he's got 2 wins in the last 3 races. Brett Rawls obviously still keeping up that top 5 streak, has finished in the top 5 every race so far, and it's kind of surprising almost to see Brett 11 points back from the lead, but those wins and especially the heat races are what are progressing Brendan Plank and Travis Miller up to the top ahead of him. But it's getting tighter. Last week was close on the championship points between the 77X and the 22, how many they took out of the race at Kokomo, and it's just going to keep building like that. You know, we're getting into crunch time. These guys are going to start being a little more mindful of these point situations, and you can even look to guys like Jamie Porter and Michael Hackett. They might be starting to try to gain some momentum and make a late run tear to move up in the championship.
And I think one of the other storylines that you have to highlight a little bit, it's one of the more unfortunate ones, but Garrett Zacharias, he was in the conversation through every step of the early part of this season, has 2 wins, won the opening race way back at Lernerville, the Pete Costco Memorial. He's now all the way down in 11th, got disqualified from last week, has been suspended from this week. It's just, those are facts. Definitely, I think you got to work on quality passes when you're dealing with 26 cars on the racetrack at any given time, especially on a quarter mile. And the series admins decided enough was enough. He's sitting this week, gets to think about things, I think, and return next week at Lanier, hopefully with a better mindset and get back after it, because he's got his work cut out for him at this point. 93 points back. That's a lot.
Yeah, that is a lot. And you look at how strong he was at the beginning of the season. I mean, he won 2 of the first 3 races. He did not win here at Volusia. Actually, he won Lernerville and Lima Land around this event at the beginning of the season, but he had a lot of momentum, and he was really strong at the front end of the field, kind of when he was more on his own or having single 2-car battles. I think this is an opportunity for Garrett to step back, think about what does he have to do to progress through the fields a little bit more efficiently, and what is he going to have to do when he returns next week when we go to Lanier to be able to get himself moving forward again in the championship. There's plenty of time left, and if he's strong in the late stages of this season, maybe a few wins, he could be back in the championship fight.
Once again, I want to thank everybody for tuning in as the clock strikes now 8:01, just past 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. We're here for yet another BRP iRacing Series event, just went over point standings. Let's take a look at the racetrack. Of course, Volusia, we're no stranger to this place, are we? We've been here each and every season now at the BRP iRacing Series, and consistently it puts on, I think, the best show, if not one of the best shows, each and every season. It's fitting then that we get 2 races this season at this racetrack, and both of them sponsored. We had the Slate Electrical 60 way back at the start of the season in November. Now we get the MDR Design 60.
Yeah, and that's obviously very big for MDR Designs, a big name with the BRP iRacing Series, and obviously for Slate as well. Alan Slate didn't have the best night when he was the presenting sponsor, but
no,
maybe he did not, but maybe that won't work again for Matt DeRitter. Volusia, very interesting, very unique, and very fun dirt track. I think it's one of the more highly regarded of the dirt tracks in the sim of iRacing. The back straightaway, as you can see, it's not straight. It's kind of a long sweeping corner. But even with that sweeping corner tendency, it does give some really great passing opportunity into turns 3 and 4. And I think the run out of turn 2 becomes very important when you consider the apex, if you want to say, around the back straightaway. So it's one of those tracks that a lot of people like. It's a track that a lot of people get around well, and it works in really nicely. And like we saw in the second race this season, it makes for some pretty great racing with these big blocks.
Yeah, 1 and 2 are pretty straightforward. I feel like turn 1 is very normal for a dirt track, be a little bit flat, but turn 2 narrows up very much with the way the backstretch is constructed here, and that opens up turn 3 to all kinds of big moves. Turn 4, down the start, finish straight, down the front stretch, really, really sketchy, treacherous, if you want to call it, with the bumps that form over time. Now, iRacing's done a great job of kind of trying to limit those as time has gone on here on the sim, but it is still a big part of racing at the virtual Volusia. Virtual Volusia Speedway Park. The whole schedule this season has been really fascinating. I think it's been a really quality built schedule by the admins here at the BRP iRacing series. You can see it here. We started out in Lernerville, then went to Volusia, like I said, right at race number 2. And if you split this season into halves, Volusia Speedway Park fits into race number 2 of each half. So if you have 7 and 7, it is the second race into each half. I really like that.
Yeah, I think that's very fun. That's just a good thing to have for Volusia to be on the schedule twice, but not to be, say, at the very beginning and very end of the season.
It's a lot like NASCAR used to do with Daytona, where it used to be obviously the opening race and right in the middle, just past halfway, or right around halfway.
Yeah, and I think it's also refreshing to the drivers to come out to a track that they've already seen this season. So they've acquired the knowledge from racing with everybody else, just, how to race against individuals in this championship. But they're coming back to a track where they know the track, they know where they're going to need to run throughout the night, and then they're going to understand everybody around them a little bit better. But even on top, the whole schedule, we've been saying this all season long, it's very jumpy. It jumps from a short track to a high bank to a long track. We're going from Kokomo, which was a quarter mile, to Volusia, which is a half mile, the baddest bull ring in Indiana, to, Volusia's a little bit flatter. It's a lot longer, a bit wider. And, we're going to look at Lanier next time out, and that's going to be another short track. And it's just all over the place. I think that makes the cream rise to the top a little bit better. It gives those guys who can adjust quicker the opportunity to be more successful and get more points out of these races.
And I think you can look at that kind of variety all the way back to the first race of the season, right? Where you had the big fast bowl of Lernerville to a flat half mile at Volusia to start things off, to the quarter mile bowl for race number 3 at Lima Land, to then kind of a slightly larger but still kind of bull ring feeling flat 3/8 mile at Weedsport, big flat half mile at Knoxville, another one of those kind of 3/8 bowls at Cedar Lake, the very long USA International Speedway, those very long straightaways that we saw such great racing and drama at, to the quarter mile at Kokomo, now the half mile here at Volusia, back to the 3/8 mile kind of bowl thing that we have going on with Lanier, then the fast half mile of Bristol, the tight little quarter mile of Fairbury, the big half mile of Eldora, then the big 4/10 mile of Charlotte to end the season. There's not really any rhyme or reason. It very much goes back and forth a lot, and I think that ebb and flow is pretty good for the way this season was built. Qualifying now on track, time trials if you want to call them. Here's a look at Dean Reynolds. Everybody getting an opportunity to go out there and put their foot to the floor.
And Dean Reynolds is going to be the first car we see out of the corner. Mike Wenner is the first one to get across the line, and he sits only 2/1000ths over Brett Rawls right now. You're seeing that number 23 go down the back as Joe Matthews goes to the top of the charts and beats him out just that quick.
Michael Hackett, new paint scheme for that number 84H. He is tracking second quick so far in this qualifying session. Somebody that I want to look for is the number 03. And here he is. He is currently in 8th spot. Look at that brand new paint scheme. That is actually modeled after his father's old car. It is his father's birthday. Happy birthday, Mr. DeRitter. That is why this is the MDR Design 60, and that is a good-looking machine.
It's looking pretty good. The time on the chart is
pretty
looking
solid
pretty
too.
good too. Pretty solid. Yeah, pretty solid for 8th place. You look at the top of the board right now. I think Michael Hackett's one of those guys you expect to see at the top end. He's been very strong in qualifying all season long. Joe Matthews is a little bit of a curveball. He's been consistent, but not necessarily at the very top. And Andrew Clark's carrying a lot of momentum off his win last time. He's sitting up at the top right now as we see one of those guys who could very easily cut him off, Travis Miller in the number 22.
Well, another one of those guys is Scott Fritz. Just went up to second quick, and look at that, less than 100th off of Andrew Clark. This is a new look for Travis Miller as well. I like the red. It's a big detour from what we usually see him in with the yellow and red, but I like it here for number 22. Across the line he'll go. That wraps up, I believe, his first time lap. It's 10th quick, right behind his Beef Esports teammate of Matt DeRitter. And that was only officially made official with Matt DeRitter and Tanner Correa. I feel like that was known for a while. They worked together, obviously, but it was only recently made official, so that was interesting. But Miller across the line, I think he's going to stay 10th. Pat Reiser's also still on the track, but I believe he's got each of his laps in. He's just out here making extra laps, and I always like to highlight it. This is what I love so much about certain drivers in this series. They like to go out there and keep running laps in qualifying. You have the time, why not?
Yeah, absolutely. You've got time on the racetrack. It's all to yourself, and you're getting into crunch time. I love this car. I think this 33 machine just looks so nice, but he's using this time wisely. And Pat started this season off a little bit later than the rest of the guys. He only came in a few races into the season to have his first running with these guys in this big block modified season that he maybe needs a little bit of that catch up. And he didn't come out for Volusia the first time, so he's going to need to catch up a little bit in that regard too.
So qualifying in, we've got 27 drivers in attendance this evening, which means we have 3 heats of 9 each instead of our normal 4-heat format. That's going to change things up just a slight bit. It also means that only one driver is going home, much like last week at Kokomo, where Mike Winter unfortunately felt the brunt of that, and well, the points certainly show it. Let's take a look at our first starting grid of the day. Heat number 1 coming at you on pole. It is last week's winner, Andrew Clark. I like the initials there, AC, with Michael Hackett on the outside. Starting from 3rd place for race number 9, heat race number 1, Mike Winter, who again, in limited last week at Kokomo, he needs this race to go well. Travis Miller will start to the outside of the number 23. That is our points leader there in the number 22. Starting 5th in this heat race, Gavin Eiseler on the number 18. Brandon Plank, the 77X, I think the strongest driver, arguably all season long, will start 6th in this heat. Needs to make up 2 spots to transfer in. Actually, no, that might not be true. Regardless, starting 7th, Adam Hilton will be in the number 3 car, Dean Reynolds in the number 79, and rounding out the Heat 1 field, it is none other than Jeff Sharp.
And there's your 9. They're going to be starting off this first heat race of the night. I think Brandon Plank, this is the reason that Travis Miller has been able to hold on to the championship, is that Brandon Plank just hasn't had quite the starting position and therefore the finishing position in some of the heat races so far this season, whereas Travis has been able to take advantage of a couple heat race wins throughout so far and has been able to get those bonus points, which are pretty important. And I think that's going to be something to watch in this heat race specifically, as you got both of them lined up on the outside.
We'll see how they sort things out down to turn 1 for the first time here in just a few moments. Want to thank everybody for tuning in. Want to thank all the partners here for the BRP iRacing Series. Of course, Bicknell Racing Products, the namesake of the BRP iRacing Series. MDR Designs, tonight's presenting sponsor, as well as Jam Performance, Lindy Direct, Creative Turnings, and the Super Dirt Car Series. Green flag is out for heat number 1. Leading this first lap, no surprise, Andrew Clark up to point.
Clark leads the way. You got Straight Jack and Michael Hackett in 2nd. There's a battle for 3rd going on as Travis Miller just clears around the outside of the TaylorMade Lindy number 23 of Mike Wenner. Those guys sitting in the top 4 are sitting in bonus points positions. You see Brandon Plank has some trouble with Gavin Eiseler looking to his inside. He needs to get up there and try to gain these points because Travis Miller right now looks like he could even take 2nd as he goes purple, and Brandon Plank needs those bonus points to stay in the championship fight.
And remember, we'll take 16 from heat races. That means we're going to have 6 out of this first heat race. We should have 5 out of the other 2. So the transfer spot backs up a few spots. This really helps everybody, I feel like. And now the transfer battles between Adam Hilton and Gavin Eiseler is usually Mike Winter and Brandon Plank.
Yeah, and that's really giving the advantage to Brandon Plank right now because he's sitting pretty in 5th place. I mean, you want to start further up in the feature event to have a little bit better opportunity, but he's sitting okay right now, and you're riding on board with Adam Hilton. You're looking at Brandon Plank right now. These guys, the track's still young, so there's not as much opportunity, but, I mean, they're still going for it. Look at Travis Miller making contact with Hackett.
Yeah, those guys mixing things up now side by side through the entire top 6. Winner way up high. Got crossed up and behind in the steering, goes way to the top of 1 and 2, and now he's got his work made out for him. He's got to catch that number 3 to get straight to the feature. After the disaster that was Kokomo for the number 23, he cannot afford this.
No, definitely not. Mike Wenner was definitely caught out by the other drivers and by poor luck at Kokomo last week. He's looking to rebound here. He's on the outside of Adam Hilton as they come down the backstretch. They're going to get the white flag presented by Tucson Sound Art this time, and there he goes. He's looking to the outside this time, Andrew.
Couldn't quite get it done just yet. He'll work on it one more time. We'll take the onboard with him. This is for the transfer. Wenner trying to get on by Hilton. Can he do anything down to turn number 3? No, he's going to sit right behind him, and Andrew Clark is going to exit turn 4 with the win. And across the line, you can see everybody else getting on through. It's going to be Hackett, Miller, Plank, Eisley, and Hilton. It should be for the rest of the transfers in our first heat. Now, call that a bit unofficial. We'll wait for official seeding once we get the official lineup, but by math's sake, it should be 6, 5, and 5. We will meet up with yet another field here as we get heat number 2 on the way.
And we'll start that off on the inside with a guy with 3 heat race wins in a row. Looking to make it 4 is Scott Fritz in the 48 machine. He's got Tanner Correa, one of the new members of Beef Esports, to his outside in second. Rolling off third on the grid, you've got Brett Rolls. He's been very strong all season long. Tyler Joshimbowski returns to the track with the 088 to his outside in 4th place. Inside row 3, you got the Beef, Corby Daniels, beautiful car, and to his outside as well, the 77, Dan Sider. Looking back to 7th on the grid, you've got Jamie Porter in the number 45. He's your winner from Knoxville. And to his outside, Double H Hunter Holberg, just looking to get himself straight into that feature. Shotgun on the field, the number 2, sponsored the last race we had here, Alan Slight.
And this puts pressure now on P5. Starting out, it's going to be Corby Daniels. These 2 heat races should both be 5th place for the transfer. That's going to change things up. And the interesting dynamic now is usually every transfer spot into the feature nets you points out of these heats. That's not the case with these, because even though we're cutting down the heats, it's still the top 4 that get those points. It's 4 for each heat winner, 3 for second, 2 for third, and 1 for fourth. So now it's a points battle, not just a transfer spot battle within that top 5. And Corby Daniels has got to make the most, I think, of the seed if he wants to better his chances here in the standings in the championship and get things rolling for that number 88. Both 88s in the field. We'll see which one's best as the 48. Scott Fritz will lead us to the green flag here momentarily, slowly through 3 and 4. Pace truck dives in. We're racing. Already a solid battle up front. The Wild Child, Tanner Correa, bringing the fight right to that number 48, side by side at a turn 4.
Tanner Correa takes the lead. He's yet to get himself a heat win so far this season. Tyler Joshimbowski makes it 3 wide with Rolls and Fritz as they go down the back straightaway, still side by side for second. Fritz tries to defend him low and runs the middle of the racetrack. Joshimbowski finds a little grip to the bottom side. They stay side by side, and now he falls back into the grasp of Brett Rolls, and he gets back up in line as Brett Rolls might have got a little bit out of shape into turn number 1.
A lot of new paint in this field, and notice the new 17R as well for Rolls. He is currently in the final transfer as Sider now works the bottom. I think there might have been contact, like you said, into turn 1 last time. That's lap 3 in the books.
Still up front, Tanner Correa leads the way. Scott Fritz right on his tail in second. Definitely watching that 48 car. He's strong. You see him go fastest in this session, and Tanner Correa is probably maybe a bit aware of that 48 car lurking as he looks to the inside as they come past the halfway point of this heat race, and looking to the inside. Out of the corner, is the momentum going to hold up? Not quite, but they stay side by side into turn number 3.
Fritz working down low, a little bit slick, gets loose that time, drops back to Joshimbowski, just a bit, 3 to go across the stripe that time. The Wild Child still working up top with the creative turnings, number 11. Fritz down low with the T-Berry Motorsports 48, and Joshimbowski's just happen to be a part of the party right now.
Yeah, Tyler Joshimbowski's been able to capitalize on these two kind of getting close to each other. He's gained the time back. Still sitting in 3rd place, but he's got an opportunity maybe in due time. Just stay patient through a couple more of these corners and pounce when it's time to go. The 88T has had an up and down season so far. He's got Dan Sider looking to the inside right now, but a feature start is a feature start, and if he can stay in 3rd, he'll get there.
White flag is out, presented by Tucson Sound Art. Fritz now working on Correa, going to try the top side this time. The basement didn't work. Let's try the attic. He's up there into 3 and 4. How's this going to work? Out of the final corner on the final lap of Heat 2. It's going to be a drag race to the line, and Fritz just can't quite get there, but hits him afterwards. Correa, Fritz, Joshimbowski. Oh, Rolls is not happy. He will move on, though, as he hits Joshimbowski after the line. And there has been a focus on trying to limit that. So I'm very surprised that we're still seeing that kind of stuff from some of these drivers, and I think admins will, again, get on those drivers for doing so. That's something we don't want to see. We do not want to see crashing after the line. That's not really constructive for anybody. We've got another field here getting ready to go racing. This is heat race number 3 on the day. Joe Matthews will start from pole position. 2nd place starting in this heat will be Brett Haas. How about that? for a qualifying effort for the number 55. Love to see that there for Brett. Starting off in third in this heat, it's going to be none other than Matt DeRitter with Tyler Pachalski on his outside. Starting from the 5th spot in heat number 3, it's Zachary Bardsley. We've got Ryan Beagle in that row as well. And the final 3 drivers in heat 3, it's Richard Pereira, Dean Meitzler, and Pat Reiser. So 9 cars once again.
And this one's going to be interesting to see. You know, you talk about Brett Haas. He had sort of a slow start to the season, and then he got a lot of momentum. He was on a 4-race heat winning streak up until last time out at Kokomo. He went from Weed Sport to USA, winning his heat races. He's starting in what some may consider the optimal spot, the outside of the front row for the start of this heat race. And obviously, Joe Matthews, Matt DeRitter, the rest of them, they're going to put up a good fight for him. But this is the time of the night, at least so far this season, where Brett Haas has been able to capitalize.
It really seems like he's able to make good use of these heat races, get a good start, and while the full race may not pan out for the number 55, he's at least been really, really solid and put himself in good track position to at least better his chances. So really good stuff this season from Brett Haas. I think a lot of growth certainly to be happy with. We have got the field working out of turn number 4, and from the speed shot, we go back green flag racing, heat 3 on the way. Top side does not work for Brett Haas. He's falling way back to 6th and out of a transfer. Look at all that contact through the final corners. But Schultz, you know, that was Reiser in the wall out of the 4th turn.
Yeah, Pat Reiser just got a little high into the corner and went all the way up to the wall. Brett Haas tried the outside and it didn't quite work. Contact there, and he's up in the wall. Bardsley, he gets it in line, and we stay green. Everybody stays close together. Oh, boy, this is a jumble.
But Chalsky pulled away with Matthews. They've taken off, so you're watching the battle for 5th or so. That's the transfer spot between the 96 right now of Pereira and the 55 of Haas. It looks like Bardsley and DeRitter, they're trying to pull away Matthews and Pachalski. They have, and this is the side-by-side battle for the transfer. We got side-by-side battles through the entire top 8.
Yeah, it basically got the entire top 8 still side-by-side. These are some very quick pace laps going on, and they're not pace laps. Look at Tyler Pachalski with that nasty slider through 3. The over-under move, Joe Matthews is going to get the lead back halfway through this heat race, and they're seeming like they want to go single file, but they can't quite get it yet, Andrew.
I'd even look at 3 wide down here to turn number 3. Looks like maybe not. Bardsley shuts the door on that idea. Pereira right to the back, getting contact there. Haas moves him up. That's going to open the door for Dean Meitzler, and he goes on through. The number 49 now in a transfer spot as Pereira and Haas both fumble the bag a little bit and drop out of transfers.
Yeah, that was definitely not what either of those guys wanted. I mean, Haas was just trying to get into that corner as fast as he could. Pereira and him get a little squared up to each other, and Dean Meitzler is going to be able to take advantage as they come past the line. They got 2 more times around the racetrack. Dean Meitzler just has to hold on to where he's at right now, and he'll be starting tonight's feature.
We're about to take the white flag presented by Tucson Sound Art. Dean just has to hang on to this car, and he's got a transfer spot straight into the feature race. Still watching the number 49. It looks like Tyler Pachalski has taken the lead in this heat. We'll catch up on that a little bit more as this is the battle for the transfer. Does Haas get desperate here to turn 3? He's working the bottom up the racetrack. Hits him a little bit, but it does not move the 49. Dean Meitzler is straight on into a feature and will start 16th. Pachalski, Matthews, DeRitter, and Bardsley also move on. Really good effort out of each one of them. I especially note the effort out of the number 03.
Yeah, for sure. That was a very strong performance by Matt DeRitter as well to keep things rolling. And that rolls us right into what we call the C main here as our first consolation event to take 5 more into tonight's feature. Gavin Eiseler gets to start on the inside with Dean Meitzler to his outside in the 49. And then we look back the row behind these 2. You'll see Hunter Holberg, the double H. Mike Wenner on the outside in the black and yellow number 23 machine. Goes back to row number 3. Start on the inside with Richard Pereira. We saw what happened in that heat race, and he's going to be looking for a rebound. Alan Slight will start to his outside, and all the way back on his lonesome, Jeff Sharp is going to be shotgun starting 7th on this field of the first consolation of the night.
So we may have had the math a bit backwards here for iRacing. I think what's been sorted out is, I'm trying to do some math. Yes. Okay, so we did not take 6, 5, and 5. Because of the consolations, that changes things. So instead, what we had was still 4, 4, and 4. That gives us 12, right? So we got to make up the 14 to go into the the feature. So now we're working with a transfer of 7. Everybody then in this constellation is in. The B main will be loaded up with 8, and 1 will be eliminated from there. So we apologize there. Like I said, that's why we say it's unofficial. But now seeing the car count here, it should have been a lot lower if we were only going to take, or if we were going to take 6, 5, and 5. Instead, we took 4, 4, and 4. And the transfer was still for 4th then. So that really changes everything we just watched, everything we just saw, especially in that last heat with Meisler and Haas. That really changes that. The good news for each of these drivers, though, Eiseler, Meisler, Hallberg, Wenner, Pereira, Slight, Sharp, they're already locked into this race. All they have to do is, well, make 10 laps.
Yes, and as they're going to come out of turn 4 right here, they are still going to be racing each other because this is all about starting position and track position at the green flag of the feature. As the green flag comes out for the C main, they roar into turn number 1, and Eiseler goes all the way to the bottom and takes that race lead.
Essentially a qualifying race then. Eiseler dipping out from the rest of the field. It's Wenner and Meisler fighting behind, and Meisler now has got to go through the middle, trying 3 wide out of turn 4 across the line.
Man, Mike Wenner right now looks like he's got a rocket attached to the back of that machine as he's ripped all the way up to 2nd place on that first lap. He's got Hunter Holberg to the inside right now, but he's ripping a really nice line just kind of on the outside middle of the racetrack, right where the berm and where the slick stuff is starting to end. You get a little bit of tackiness going right there. That's where Mike Wenner is sitting, and it seems like it's working really well for him, at least to stay in 2nd place. It's going to be hard to catch Gavin Eiseler when he's playing cat video.
I mean, it's just hard to catch him regardless. He's just so quick. And, you know, there's races where he has off days, but is usually one of the front runners here in the BRP iRacing series, at least in the top 5 or so, and was great last week at Kokomo. Working the inside line right around the bottom, the inside wall again tonight, looking pretty good as Holberg works on Wenner here for 2nd. This could be a really good day for Holberg. He's looking pretty sporty.
Yeah, Holberg's definitely one of those guys who's gotten caught up in a couple incidents, and he's had a little bit of a rough start to the season as well, especially last week was tough for Hunter. He got involved in a lot of accidents, and most of them were not anywhere near his doing. It was just kind of a situation where he got involved in something that happened in front of him. Right now, you see him running for 2nd place in this Consi. He's down on the a little kiss of the wall right there and going to help it. But, hey, you know, a little rebound might be what Hunter Holberg puts on the docket tonight. He really would like that. He needs it.
Meisler's fallen back a little bit in this race. Sharp, though, is keeping with everybody here. So we've got a little battle behind these guys, too. Side by side are Slight and Pereira. Good stuff.
Yeah, Alan Slight on the outside right there. He's had some ups and downs this season. Richard Pereira's been pretty solid all the way through it, I would say. Jeff Sharp, you're riding on board with him. He's safe into the feature, but he's running in 6th place. He might just be waiting this one out. 2 to go at the line, and Jeff Sharp kind of, I don't know if I'd want to stick my nose into that little storm right in front of him.
No way, no how. He says, you guys can sort that out. I'll just go on by you in the feature. Still watching that 99 on the bottom. I like what I'm seeing out of at 100 today. I like what I'm seeing. Just the way he's pacing himself down there. I've seen him get pretty, I guess, exacerbated, if you will. Kind of get frustrated maybe even with the way his races go sometimes. That's what it looks like, right? No, this is very calm, cool, collected, just riding the bottom. Good stuff right now at 100. White flag is out, presented by Tucson Sound Art.
Patience seems to be the factor right now that's working out for him, and it seems like that could carry forward and be very beneficial in the future. He's going to have to settle for 3rd place, I think, unless he gets a big run through the final corners. As Gavin Eiseler is going to win the Consi, Wenner's going to get 2nd, but hey, that's a pretty good setup, and that's pretty good momentum for the feature right there from all of the guys in this grid.
And again, each and every one of those 7 drivers will move on. Now is when we get to send a driver home and ruin somebody's day. The good news is, if you're Mike Wenner, you're already in. You're not a part of this race. You can't be eliminated. Isn't that nice after last week's run at Kokomo? 10 laps, let's look at the field. Starting on pole, it is none other than the 17R of Brett Rolls. Adam Hilton will start from 2nd place. Starting 3rd, it's Brett Haas. He needs something to go right here. Not the greatest heat race, to be honest. He's usually pretty good in the heats. Not the greatest one there for him. He's going to look to improve here in this Consi. Starting 4th, though, is the pistol, Jamie Porter. Dean Reynolds lines up 5th. Pat Reiser 6th. The B of Corby Daniels will line up 7th rather, whereas Ryan Beagle lines up in the only position out of the feature. Imagine starting this last race, this last preliminary race to get into the show in the only spot to be eliminated.
That's just not a position I think I'd want to be in, Andrew. I think I'd be,
no.
yeah, I might prefer a different spot. But Ryan Beagle, especially off of last week, He was able to run very unique lines and adjust and change to Kokomo throughout the feature. I wouldn't be super concerned about my chances if I was Ryan Beagle right now. I think he's one of the guys who's carrying a lot more confidence out of last week. And, sitting in the last spot on the grid, you can only go up from here.
Yeah, literally, you can only go up. I guess you could stagnate in 8th, but I don't think he will. Ryan Beagle is usually, again, one of those front runners that just sits quietly in the top 5 or so, and I think should have a good outing this evening at the Volusia Speedway Park, a track that he is very familiar with along with everybody else in this series. Let's watch from his point of view on this start.
And you can see just how close everything is as they go into turn number 1. A little bit of breathing room, actually, to the front side and to the bottom. But he's already not in the last spot in this grid, as the guys down on the inside seem to be losing out a little bit to the momentum up top.
The whole field works on by up front. It's all Brett Rolls right now. A new look on that number 17R. A much darker paint scheme. I like it.
Yeah, I think this looks pretty solid right now, and I'm wondering what it's going to look like throughout the night as well. Jamie Porter right behind him. He's had a fresh
These two don't like each other.
That's a good point. That's a great point. These two kind of have a feud going. You'd think they'd be kind of smart about, hey, there is the chance that one of us could go home, so we should just be smart and get through this B main before we start getting into things. But yeah, these two guys, they don't like each other.
Oh, Jamie! That's exactly what you don't want to do in this situation. The one thing you can't do, right, is eliminate yourself in this. Hits Brett Rolls over the jumps on the front stretch and puts himself in the wall. There's a good catch to get back going, but that is the one thing he cannot afford to do.
I really don't know what that was, to be completely honest and fair. I'm kind of at a loss on that one. I would have thought you'd kind of back it up a little bit. I mean, you weren't even halfway into this B main.
Yeah,
and
the throttle is not an on and off switch. It is a pedal that has 100 degrees of movement there. Any position in between works pretty nicely, and you can lift a little bit to not hit the guy. I don't know. It worked out. He got control, and he's racing for a second again down to the bottom side of Brett Haas. He might still salvage that second spot, but he could have had the lead.
Yeah, well, Jamie Porter is definitely one of the fast guys in this series. I mean, we talk about Jamie every season, let alone every week. For this series, and he's got a win already, and we're looking back at the tail of the field right now. The Beef is the only guy sitting on the outside looking in. Dean Reynolds and Pat Reiser are within eyesight and within reach, I feel, right now for him, as they have 2 more laps to go, and he's looking to the inside of Dean to see if he can get out of that last place spot.
Oh, he's almost got it. We're coming. Well, that was 3 to go there, so I mean, this is crunch time for these two. Dean Reynolds, a little bit of contact, maybe into the third corner. He gets down to the bottom side, fights down there. If he could get clear of Pat Reiser, that would really help his chances here, as he's got the Beef breathing down his neck.
Yeah, Corby's definitely on the charge at this exact moment in time, and he's finding a little bit of grip down low. Oh, contact! That was contact between Reynolds and the Beef, and to the outside, Corby goes. White flag presented by Tucson Sound Art is going to come out. Rolls is clear on the outside at the lead, but there's still a big fight going on for this transfer.
Jamie Porter's dropped through the field a little bit, and he's fallen down to 5th, 4th spot or so. As out of turn 4, it's going to be all Brett Rolls. What can Corby Daniels do out of the final corner? Oh, just nothing. I mean, there's nothing you can do at that point. After the contact a lap ago, that's it. And Corby Daniels, the one car going home.
Yeah, and that was pretty impressive driving. Dean Reynolds didn't block, but he did hold a good line where he knew he wouldn't allow an over-under.
I'm gonna stop you, Joe. Corby Daniels is in the race field. He's listed in. We might not... Have we gone to 28 cars more permanently? I mean, he's listed in right now. We're into the warm-up session now. These drivers now have a 15 or 5-minute warm-up session. If we look through here, where's it going to show the 88? Corby Daniels is in the results, and we haven't even started. I wonder if that's a technicality with iRacing or if I don't know. Regardless, what we can do is we can take a step aside real quick, take a quick break, be right back to you, and hopefully have an answer. But it looks like maybe Corby Daniels is still racing here in the MDR Design 60. Regardless, do not go anywhere. We've got racing on the way from Volusia. Welcome back to the Volusia Speedway Park, at least virtually here in the iRacing.com sim, added with the invention, if you will, of dirt racing on iRacing back in 2017. It stands as one of the premier dirt racing venues on the sim. I think used in most leagues, certainly in one of the most highly revered tracks on the sim, at least in the dirt category. It's fantastic to be here, fantastic to have, of course, my partner in crime for these BRP iRacing Series events alongside Joe Donahue with Emerson Arden on our social media. Preliminary stuff out of the way. All those heat races, consies, they're done, and we have cars in the pits ready to grid up in about 10 more seconds.
Yeah, and hey, we're getting ready for another 60-lap event, the MDR Design 60. I want to thank everybody for coming along for the broadcast and everything. It's been pretty insightful and interesting so far. And hey, the countdown's done. It's time. We're going to go racing. Let's go.
And we certainly hope that you check out our social media here, check out Emerson's work throughout the course of the evening as we get ready to, like you said, Joe, send these guys off for 60 laps. We'll wait on these guys to officially tick over into the grid, and we can confirm Corby Daniels is not a part of this feature event. We are only running 26 cars, so unfortunate for the beef, but I'm at least glad that we know 26 still. That's the number, even when sometimes iRacing throws us a curveball. Starting on pole, it is none other than Andrew Clark, fresh off a win at Kokomo. He starts up front in the number 98. Tana Correa starts over his right shoulder. Starting second at Volusia, or third rather, it is Tyler Pachalski on the inside of the second row with Michael Hackett on the outside. Scott Fritz will start from fifth today inside of row 3. Joe Matthews will start from sixth. The inside of row number 4, that goes to the thriller Travis Miller. Tyler Josh Bombowski there in 8th. Ninth starting spot, that goes to none other than Matt DeRitter on his father's birthday, no less, with Brandon Plank in 10th.
Row number 6 starts off on the inside with Dan Sider in the 77. To his outside is going to be Zach Bardsley making his return to the group in 12th on the grid. Starting off on the inside of row number 7, you look to the number 18, Gavin Eiseler, Catfish. We'll see what he can do from there. And Brett rolls with a ton of momentum so far this season. He rolls off 14th. Starting 15th on the grid, you got Mike Wenner, the black and yellow number 23. And to his outside, the new father, Brett Haas in the 55 machine. Starting in 17th on the inside of row number 9, you got Double H Hunter Hallberg, and to his outside is going to be the 3A. Had some pretty good momentum last time we came here. Adam Hilton, Alan Slight, and Jamie Porter are going to make up row number 10.
Starting 21st, beginning the back 6, if you will, it's Richard Pereira. Ryan Beagle starts 22nd. Lining up 23rd, it's Jeff Sharp. Pat Reiser starts 24th. In the back row here, Caboose on their inside and outside lines, respectively. There we go. Respectfully as well. Dean Meitzler and Dean Reynolds, a couple of Deans, bringing up the back end of the starting grid. Does that make the Dean's list? Can we make that joke again? No, have I burned it already? All right. Well, anyways, Andrew Clark going to bring us down to the green flag here momentarily. 60 laps on the way from Volusia, and it starts now. Some wonderful partners here at the BRP iRacing Series allow us to do this week in, week out. And look at that drag race to the line for lap 1 between Clark and Correa.
Yeah, they're definitely showing right now that at least these two drivers know how to make both lines of this racetrack work. Correa's making the top side go pretty well. He's got Michael Hackett right behind him. Andrew Clark is holding on strong on the bottom side. There seems to be a pretty level playing field between the two lines, but a lot of people up top might wear it out quickly, and Andrew Clark becomes one of those guys as he slides up in front of the 11.
Yellow flag is out. Hunter Hallberg and Alan Slight in trouble. And oh, man, this has been the theme since we started covering this series. For some reason, Hunter Hallberg has an uncanny ability to flip cars. I don't get it.
Hunter Hallberg must like being number 66 on the track. He's been caught up in a lot of accidents where he's ended up on the lid. But we'll catch this replay back and see what quite happens. You can see there's a pretty good distance in between him and Slight to start it off, Andrew.
You raise a good point. I think you could just flip his number and he'd be number 99 a little more often. But this is the fight down to 1. And Richard Pereira just gets into him. No fault of Hunter at all. Richie gets into him, turns him around. They continue on.
Yeah, and you saw Alan Slight was just right behind Pereira and kind of didn't have time to move anywhere else but follow this incident into the outside area of the wall. Almost got upside down too, actually. That number 2 car almost ended up on his lid, but he was able to make a bicycle save and get it back on all fours. Unfortunately, Hunter Hallberg not so fortunate.
So Andrew Clark still in control of the field. Only 3 laps in. We'll get the race restarted and we'll begin lap number 4. Joe, do you happen to recall? I even forget. I sent you a photo recently, or a snap of something. There was one driver here that was in a kart race recently down at Daytona, or at least had a family connection, and I forget who.
I believe it was...
I want to say it was Richie.
No, it was
no.
Dave DiPetro.
Yep, Dave DiPetro. So, not in the field tonight, but I do want to mention this, because we're also down pretty darn close to, Daytona, at least virtually here. Dave DiPetro, if you guys are watching tonight, or whenever you guys get back in the field, happen to notice you guys in the lineup for Kart Week down at Daytona for WKA. That was broadcast on one of our affiliates, Pit Road TV. Do a lot of work with them. So Dave, if you're watching, or if you come back and watch us at some point, by all means, get in contact with us. That's pretty darn cool. Regardless, we've got a green flag on the way. Lap 4 underway as it's a battle for second, really.
Yeah, Andrew Clark got a great restart right there and just out and clear on his own lonesome. Hackett slides up to the top side right there in front of Correa. Joe Matthews is running pretty strong down on the bottom side. He's got Tyler Pachalski with him. Pachalski was the runner-up when we came here earlier this season. He loves this racetrack. He gets around it well. And right now he's kind of just sitting and lurking as they seem to be training around the outside around him.
Hackett working up top. I like the look of that orange 84 up there. Correa starting to follow in, Josh Mbowski, and finishing off that top line. Well, I guess continuing off that top line is Brandon Plank a little further back. So this whole top 10 poised a set of really good drivers. I mean, you got Dan Sider even bringing up the back end of this top 10. He's been so good this season, quietly good as well. He sits down there on the bottom side following Miller.
Yeah, he's been very patient and consistent, I would say, in getting into those top 10 areas. And that's been really solid for Dan. Obviously, you want those bigger performances, but definitely a great showing for Dan and being able to return to the BRP iRacing series this season with everybody and get out on the racetrack with guys who've been winning, in the late model season and even further back as you look to the front end. Michael Hackett's the same way. Michael Hackett had a little bit of time off from the series when they ran the late models. He's back with the big blocks, and he's tearing stuff up right now. To the outside, he's caught up a bit at least, Andrew Clark, and in due time might be able to make a little bit more out of it. There's plenty of time left in the race, plenty of opportunity for that 84.
He has been so good this season. I don't know where it's come from, but Michael Hackett has really turned things up. He's got some new partners and everything on that car. Has really done really well, and we have a race lead at this point. He has caught Andrew Clark, and it's a fight up front.
He's following him into the line at the bottom side of the racetrack right now.
He
Michael
wasn't
Hackett,
just sideways there.
He wasn't, and he got a little loose out of the corner, a little all over the place out of the exit, too. I wonder if there was maybe netcode or if he just kind of, the car unsettled a little bit so close behind Andrew Clark. He's lost a bit of that time. He's still right there with Andrew. As Andrew slides from bottom to top in turns 1 and 2, Hackett might be able to bring some momentum down the back straightaway, and he will, and in due time, that might get him back into a position to make that pass.
Clark is working the track backwards almost in 1 and 2, but still the same way in 3 and 4, where he's sliding into 1 and losing some ground out of 2, I think, but it's working because he just sends it into 3 and 4 and makes up a lot of time on exit there, and it's working out for him. The battle for 3rd, 4th, 5th, that's heating up. Plank is now in this. Matthews working to the inside of the 77X. Technically, you could argue they were 4 wide right there.
I was about to say that myself. They were looking like they were trying to go for 4 wide. Tanner Correa and Josh Mbowski, they kind of split the way ahead of Joe Matthews and Brandon Plank. Plank is definitely not out of the battle yet, but Josh Mbowski and Correa kind of stay side by side. They're the main fighters in this one. They come out of turn number 4. Look at the time. Brandon Plank makes up on Josh Mbowski. He might look to the outside here, and he does, but Josh Mbowski's going to slide up.
Really good stuff inside this top 10. And now you got to wonder, is Tanner Correa starting to feel a bit of this pressure as now Josh Mbowski looks to the inside for one of the first times. The 88J has been quietly patient behind the 11, but now you can see Tanner kind of covers up the entry to 1, and oh, look at that behind Matthews. Oh, so close to that left rear plank. Now Josh Mbowski resets himself up for this corner for turn 3. Matthews in the slider there to try and hold that position over Miller. 3 wide out of 4 they'll go.
Dan Sider and Travis Miller right there with Joe Matthews now, and Travis definitely knows it's crunch time to get back up there. He did get some bonus points out of the heat races that Brandon Plank did not, so he cushioned himself a little bit, but obviously you don't want your main competitor in the championship in front of you. So Travis Miller right now, he's looking at that 77X and thinking, I got to get up in front of that car. and he is on the charge right now. He's running a very solid line. He's doing the same thing that Andrew Clark's been doing to make up time in 1 and 2, and then slide hard into 3 and 4 right here. Bring a ton of momentum. It's working. And Josh Mbowski doing that slider right there helped him.
Oh, that was close out of turn 4. Plank now tries the bottom with these two mixing things up. Josh Mbowski checks up, and I think he realizes what's going on here. Everybody's trying to roll up to Korea and Josh Mbowski to take advantage of it, and Tyler says, oh no more, we're going to start to work to the inside of Plank, try to go 3 wide. It worked for a moment, loses momentum out of turn 4. Plank now with the advantage into turn 1. Korea rolls back around the top side.
And you saw Travis Miller make up a ton of time right there. Definitely worth noting, Brandon Plank made the pass on Josh Mbowski and Korea at the same time down the backstretch just a few laps ago. He's lost that spot to Korea, at least when they were coming into the corner, at least. Not necessarily in the middle or off the straight. I think Korea's going to be able to bring some momentum. And this is a great 4-car battle right now.
Yeah, but it feels like a matter of time before Plank finally hits on exactly what he needs on this end of the racetrack in 1 and 2. He's been so good, and last time almost had the pass made. Josh Mbowski pretty good through center. I mean, look at this. This looks like it's a 4-car race, and they're in pace laps still, much like Heats and Contis from earlier today. This is why we love when the BRP iRacing series comes to Volusia. Look at this is great stuff.
They definitely have two very solid. Oh, is he going to try to go up? He did try to go up in front of Korea. Oh, that's going to cut loose from a really great race. Jimmy Porter getting that car straightened out on the front straightaway.
You can see Andrew Clark come around and almost join the accident scene there. And, we've got... Well, 2311 wouldn't be so happy if this was a NASCAR Cup Series race. Thankfully, it's not. But the 23 and 45 are both involved here. And we've got to look at it here. Bardsley goes to the inside of Porter. This kind of shuffles Porter to the outside. Wenner comes in and just up the racetrack. You can see when a dirt car is turning to the left, that generally means they're pushing. DeRitter gets a piece of it. Hilton gets crushed into the outside wall.
Yeah, DeRitter got a pretty solid piece of that as well. Jamie Porter obviously went over and had that initial hit and everything that went with the 45. I would be surprised if that car was still clean and free of damage. But you see this nasty slide up out of turn number 2. He's got Bardsley looking with Wenner to the inside, and then there's just momentum and there's cars, and everybody kind of comes into the same thing. Yeah, that's a good point, actually. They both kind of just brought too much momentum into that corner, and Porter really had nothing more you could do about that.
Yeah, even Bardsley made some contact with Jamie in the middle of the corner there. Both Zachary Bardsley and Mike Winter just missed the corner really, really badly, and up the racetrack they each went. We'll see if admins decide to throw either one of them to the back. They haven't yet, and I don't know that it would come out at the 1 to green signal that I believe we've just gotten. So I think they'll let the order stand, which obviously is good for Bardsley and Wenner. It's nothing malicious, no malice in any of that. Just missed the corner, got into Porter, and unfortunately Porter felt the short end of that one. We've still got each and every car of the 26 in this race, and they're all on the lead lap. That is the big part to me. I think that stands out. All 26 cars still on the lead lap, even with Holberg, Hilton, and others having a lot of damage. So the pace truck will make that sharp left-hand turn back into the pits, and we've got a field of 26 ready to restart.
Green flag comes back out. Another excellent restart from Andrew Clark as he leads the Thundering Herd into turns 1 and now into turn 2. He goes to the top side. Hackett is up there as well with Brandon Plank. Korea goes to the bottom. And they're spacing out pretty nicely at the front end, at least, and giving each other a little bit of room here as they come back to the stretch.
Love watching those overheads. They work out of turn 1 and 2 now, as you can see some nose to tail between some big contenders here. Korea and Miller, those are teammates. Matthews on the inside. Josh Mbowski has fallen back to 8th on this restart. Fritz working the top side like magic, as Clark might actually have a race on his hands here.
Yeah, Michael Hackett has caught up. Brandon Plank has come with him. They are all back together at the front end of this grid, and Andrew Clark has led from the drop of the original green flag. We are 25 laps into this race. Michael Hackett now trying to make things a little bit dicey and a little bit spicy up at the front end of the grid. As Straight Jacket looks to the inside in turn number 1. Clark's going to go to the top. Plank's going to go with him. It doesn't look like the grip's there for Hackett to make the run down the backstretch, but he certainly tried it in the middle of the corner.
Gave it a shot, and it was worth that shot. You got to learn what the track is doing throughout the course of this race, especially with the amount of green flag we've seen so far. Now, I will knock on wood just to be safe, as we almost had a move for the race lead. Michael Hackett working still that bottom side in 1 and 2. I like the way he's rolling it, and I think it's handicapping a lot of what we saw Andrew Clark doing earlier in the race. So if you can mess with Clark's line at all, that's a positive.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I definitely like the point you made about kind of searching and learning the racetrack. I mean, dirt tracks change so much over the course of a race, and especially with 26 big block modifieds on the track. Every lap, the track ages a bit more, and its character changes a lot. You're riding on board with Brandon Plank. He's maybe learning more from the drivers in front of him than from his own searching right now, but you have more than a right to do that in third place right now, and it's working out for Brandon. He's at least being able to hold on to Michael Hackett as they go through turns 1, 2, 3, and now into turn 4. He's holding on to that run in third place, and there's still a whole half of this race left. So there's plenty of time for Brandon to make a move on Mike, and for the rest of these guys to maybe put something together too, but just learn the track right now.
Looks like this group up front starting to split up. Let's flash back then in the rest of the top 10, see how this is all sorted out. Wild Child Tana Korea into 4th, Matthews 5th, and almost contact there between the guys who used to run in the Bluegrass iRacing series together. Scott Fritz low, Travis Miller high, and they might go 3 wide here in a moment. They caught right up to Joe Matthews despite door banging on the front stretch.
And if I remember correctly, Joe Matthews had a pretty good, I believe he got 7th place when we were here at the beginning of this season. So this is definitely one of those tracks that Joe Matthews has some strength at. Travis Miller, Scott Fritz, they're used to racing beside each other. Yellow flag comes out on the racetrack. I think it's Zach Bardsley causing the issue, and it definitely is. You see, he's got a ton of damage to that car.
That car ain't right. That car ain't right at all. The rear end, if you know what you're looking at with a big block, that rear end is all kinds of not correct right now. That left rear is way too far inside the body, looking like a late model down the left side of that car. Yeah, that's not correct at all.
All kinds of not correct. I like that. That was a good quote.
Yeah, that is a broken race car. He's going to have a whale of a time trying to get back into the race if he tries to do so. He's going to be back here with a couple of drivers that I did not expect to be back here at all. Actually, 4 of them. Beagle, Eiseler, Wenner, and Pachalski much further back in the order than I ever would have thought for today. It's 3 wide down to 3. Wenner, does he pay the return favor? Kind of does, yeah. Like Wenner just throws him to the fence.
Yeah, Bardsley got sent pretty intensely. Oh, man, Hunter Holberg scared me a little bit right there, too. But Mike Wenner just moving up a bit into where Bardsley was, and Bardsley had nothing he could do, nowhere he could go, just kind of gets involved and thrown up into the wall. A lot of damage to the 11. That's a tough break. He's back after a couple weeks. He hasn't been here and hasn't been competitive in some events. At the beginning of the season, he kind of had a slow start as well. He got things rolling, and then unfortunately, life happens, but he's back on the block, and he was ready to rock, but obviously a little bit of a skew with that guy, Mike Wenner, and we bring out another yellow flag tonight.
And Wenner's been sent to the rear. This is interesting because neither Bardsley nor, and who else was it? Was it Wenner that missed the corner and got into, yeah. Right, it was Wenner that got into Porter. So I had that a little bit mixed up earlier when I said he repaid the favor, but yeah, I think that's fair. Actually, now that I think about it correctly, Wenner to the back, I think that makes a lot of sense. That was a big, big hit for Bardsley to take and really wrecks his race. Up front, double file, the entire field is ready to go back. Green flag racing, up on the bars already. Andrew Clark takes off.
A nice takeoff from the outside this time, as Andrew's been starting on the inside for the last few restarts. He goes to the top, and he made it work. He stays in the race lead. We got a 3-wide battle for third place. Korea, Plank, and Fritz. They go into turn number 3. Plank's going to take the advantage, but Fritz is not going to give up on the bottom.
No, he isn't. Scott Fritz, one of the toughest competitors in this series lately, has been really, really good. Now he checks up a bit. Tana Korea gets into him. We even see Joe Matthews with a bump, and they'll all fan out now down the backstretch. Korea goes way up high, loses a couple of spots. Miller fills that bottom side, trying to get through. And man, these guys just get so close at a turn 4.
Yeah, they're pretty good at those bumper boxes, and they know where they need to be. The track has changed a lot, and this is the point in the race where you're going to have to start watching your elbows because the track's getting slicked off, and once it's slick, I mean, you've got to really control that momentum. Right now, everybody's doing a really solid job of it. Brandon Plank has been able to take that. Whoa! Michael, he scared me a little bit. Straight Jacket got right up to the bumper of Brandon Plank. He's side by side with Fritz, and they almost touched into turn number 3 that time.
Was that synchronized? Oh, right there. I think it was. As side by side now, Hackett and Fritz battle. 48 inside, 84 outside. And I think Scott Fritz might have the edge. He has really come on late in this race, and he has made easy work of these guys in this top 10. Gets on by Hackett there now, and will work on second place here in a few moments if they can get up to Brandon Blank. What I've noticed, though, is just the way the 98 has made mincemeat of this entire field. I don't know what he's hit on, but Andrew Clark, amazing in big blocks right now on the iRacing.com platform. Really, really good.
And this is kind of the way that nights have gone for Andrew, where he's had wins, if not really great performances. Obviously, last week he did an excellent job. He led so much of Kokomo, and he won that race. Tonight, he's just taken the charge to it. He's started this race in the lead, and he hasn't given it up yet. And things are looking pretty good for Andrew Clark, as long as he can stay in tune with the racetrack as it's changing. And when the guys behind him there's contact.
That's it. Oh, no. Porter, Correa pile in. That's a yellow for sure. 21 laps to go. The rest of the field comes on through. Unfortunately, from what I can tell, Michael Hackett is no one to blame but himself. I think he just got into the back end of, I think that was Plank, maybe somebody else. It wasn't Plank, was it? But he gets into the back of one car. That was Fritz. And goes for a spin. This is a look at things here. He did battle so great side by side, and unfortunately, he just gets in way too deep into one.
Yeah, and this is more of that controlling your momentum that I spoke about.
Yeah.
That's, you have to have the whereabouts. Oh man, that's a pile of cars right there, isn't it? You have to know your whereabouts about your momentum, and you have to be mindful of your own momentum into a corner. But if you want to avoid a situation like that, you have to kind of track what Scott Fritz is doing in front of you. And obviously, you got to keep up with a lot of things on the racetrack at the same time to avoid something like that. But Hackett, you can't blame anybody else. It's tough to take that, but as a driver, sometimes you have to say, that was just me getting into that corner a little bit quicker than Fritz, and things didn't work out, and that's what happened. It sends Michael Hackett to the rear. He's had a very strong running all the way through this show tonight, and it's been a lot of momentum carried from past races this season, too.
And I think to add to your point about momentum, Maxime Plant, I remember that used to be kind of his handicap. I feel like that's what would always catch him out. And generally, if we ever saw Maxime Plant make a mistake, it was always the same thing. He just would roll up on somebody middle of the corner. Always had such great mid-corner speed, but if he wasn't leading, it tended to be right into the back of somebody else. And we haven't seen Maxime in a while, but that tended to be kind of the issue there for Maxime Plant. And I think it's. Yeah, I think you absolutely hit the nail on the head. You just got to watch that momentum and kind of anticipate it. I know it's really tough when somebody might check out and he misses the bottom and they kind of stab the brake a little bit to get the car to rotate. But, in a real car, right, you would give that cushion room. If it was a real car, you were paying for it, you'd give that room. Regardless, we've got a restart on our way. 20 laps to go. Green flag is back out.
And you got to wonder this time. Andrew Clark, he had the pressure from Hackett. He's got the pressure. Yeah, he's got the pressure from Blank now. Fritz and Blank are putting it to the 98 car this time off the restart. He does kind of slide into the corner in the middle, comes down the racetrack. Look who's getting into the picture now. Travis Miller has started to make some room, and he is coming on strong in the 22 on the outside.
Well, you know what they call him, right? They call him the Thriller for a reason. He works the top side of 1 and 2. Travis Miller rolls right up to these guys, and this has been the season, I think, of renaissance for the number 22 car. He's gotten right back into this series, gotten right back into title contention. You could argue that maybe it's because Maxime isn't here, but oh man, catching that wall, that's not what you want to do for the 22. He's always been kind of second or third best these last couple of seasons. This is the first time we've seen him get right back out to the front. It's Clark. Clark got the wall into the corner and gets saved by the fact that we've got a caution further back, I think, with Pachalski.
Oh, and that's Tyler Pachalski, that's runner-up last time we were here. We talked to Tyler about how well he races this track and how much he likes it here at that time, and this is going to be unfortunate to see what happens here.
And it's the slightest bit of contact. It's very similar to what we just saw. This time, watch the number 3 on the outside of Gavin Eiseler there. Gets clear of that 18 car, is still working the bottom. You can see everything checking up in front. And I think Pachalski stabs the brake thinking he's going to get close, and Hilton just gets into him.
Ooh, Alan Slight got a good chunk of that, too. Mike Wenner and Alan Slight on the tail end of that. Pachalski obviously got hit fairly significantly from those guys as well. So that's an incident that involves a little bit more of the field than we initially thought there. And Tyler Pachalski, you can see, I mean, he hasn't had the best of nights already, and just a little bit of that additional love from the 3A. Gavin Eiseler just trying to get out of the way. Excellent slow-mo showing everything going on here all at the same time.
Yeah, they all just kind of collect up the racetrack, as happens so often here. Like I mentioned, turn 2 just kind of funnels the field out, and if you aren't watching it, it can certainly spell bad things for you. But, I mean, that really is just a classic case of one driver checking up a little bit, another driver not expecting it, not really having a whole lot of room to work with it. And I think realistically, in a real big block, you can probably make that contact and get away with it, right? The bumpers will channel a lot of that energy, the bumper bars anyway, but unfortunately in iRacing, it really just turns the car around almost immediately. So that's why you got to be so careful. Dirt racing on iRacing really takes, I think, maybe even more precision than some road racing. Honestly, it's just you have to be so fine and precise with it to be the best at it. It's certainly a craft, and the guys who can do it, I admire big time. The guys in the World of Outlaws iRacing Pro Series, big props to them. They've got something figured out. These guys are pretty darn good at it too. Green flag back out. We're inside of 20 to go.
And
they're gone.
Yeah, we're gonna have a big time yellow. That was a junkyard on the front. Yeah, that was a lot of cars in the middle and tail end of the field. I think we're gonna be walking through this one a couple times, Andrew.
Yeah, this one's really big. What in the heck just went on? It's funny, as soon as I say they're pretty darn good at it, we have a big, massive pile up. This is just a look at things in the back. I don't know exactly who's involved, but I think Wenner is one of them. And we'll let this play in slow-mo, I think, once we get going. There's a checkup already. They start to accelerate. DeRitter gets to the inside, hits Meitzer. I dare say that's where this starts. Slight goes to the inside, and I mean, that's just never going to work.
Slight got very optimistic right there. And DeRitter got... That was excellent. That might have been more luck than draw, but that was excellent for Michael Hackett. You saw him just slide to the inside, no problem. DeRitter got a little caught up, and I think Slight got a little aggressive and optimistic on that start, and that's what causes all of these.
Another look at it here, you see Slight just takes the bottom side, and I mean, if he had been able to hold down low and work the bottom, that's fine, but he just drove straight into Matt and body slams him up the racetrack. Correa ramps off a riser. You see Holberg put Pachalski into a barrel roll, and Hilton, I think, checks up for most of that. Gets through okay as Slight continues to carry the barrel rolling 11 down the racetrack further up. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, Alan Slight just drove through Matt DeRitter on the restart, and we have a parking lot as a result.
Yes, 7-8 cars, and 2 of them went upside down. A couple more of them got pretty nice hits of the outside wall there. It did let Michael Hackett through, so that's something for Straight Jacket after his unfortunate turn earlier on in the race. He's at least got a couple of spots ahead of them, but hopefully everybody kind of sticks things to him, and maybe he's a little more patient on this try, and we can get some green flag action in.
Your one-stop shop for all things graphic design, MDR Designs, brings you this restart in the entire race in the MDR Design 60. Green flag back out, 16 to go.
Into the corner again, all the way to the top side is Brett Rowles, and these are two of the names right there. Travis Miller, Brett Rowles. Those guys have been very slowly and very meticulously making their way back to the front of this field. And as we're coming through to inside 15 laps to go, there's a couple cars spinning in the middle of 3 and 4, I believe. But those 2 guys have been very strong to get back up into the top 3 as they were. Richard Pereira and a couple of others are going to bring out another yellow flag.
Looks like potentially Pereira and maybe Hackett involved. I only say Hackett because he was the other car back there. Maybe Wenner as well. As Pereira will rejoin the field under yellow here. Let's take a look back and diagnose this one. We had a great race rolling, and you can argue that it's on me. I promise I knocked on wood. You guys heard it, right? So, unfortunately, we kind of hit this bump in the road, but let's see what happens here. And you can see Hackett's right behind the 96. That might have been a good prediction, potentially, a guess. As the orange 84 is in the middle, and yep, turns the 96 right around, right over the bit of contact. Slight just barely gets by, and they all just kind of stack up.
Yeah, they also kind of just kept the momentum going, Hackett and DeRitter, that is. And this is going to sound weird, but I think it helped them a little bit. Because I feel like being able to keep that momentum right there and stay right on the spinning number 96, they were able to avoid cars getting airborne and making wheel-to-wheel contact. So, you know, maybe Richard Pereira didn't appreciate it as much, but in the long run, I think it actually helped him out.
I would agree. I would definitely tend to agree. It kind of kept the overall effect to a minimum. They kind of stacked up, lazy spin for Pereira, and Richie gets back into this race. He's not too damaged at all. Maybe a little bit of suspension damage, depending on how hard he got hit in the left rear, the left front, but overall pretty okay. As the field gets doubled back up, it looks like. To be honest, I thought we were going to go single file. I thought usually 2 cautions that quickly would do it. I think it's maybe 3 cautions instead. So we'll be double file again. We'll have 14 to go. And Joe, I mean, what do you do here if you're anybody other than Andrew Clark? Restarts are king. The leader is king on these restarts, and it's going to be tough to unseat that 98.
You know, that's so hard to answer, Andrew. I'm glad I'm not one of the guys making the decision. I think you got to snooker him. You got to try to figure out a way to kind of catch him off guard and snooker him, whether that be out of the exit of turn 4 or into turn 1. I'd look for turn 1, but I mean, Andrew's been controlling these restarts so well. He does so just again as the green flag comes back out. You can see he's already put a car length in between himself and Plank.
For a moment, though, he slides through center, gives up that car length, and Plank is rather close down to turn 3. Not quite close enough to try a move to the inside or anything, but he's there.
And Andrew just runs into that corner so fast right there that he carried the momentum at least out of turn number 4 that he was in the lead. This time, that might be the first view of another car Andrew Clark has seen all night, as Brandon Plank looked at least to the inside down the back straightaway. Fritz and Miller side by side for 3rd. Clark tries to send it in a little bit. Ooh, they're getting a little slow.
And I think Plank would have been better served staying down low in 3 and 4. He's figured something out. He just can't quite get there in 1 and 2. He's got to set it up for a whole lap, I think. As Miller gets the wall, the same thing that Andrew Clark did a little bit ago. We watched it from an onboard. Good catch. They keep racing. That could have been disaster there for Brandon Plank, or not Brandon Plank, Travis Miller and other cars. As you see the pace truck on the racetrack. Caution out again. I don't have a read on this one. Well, that'll do it. Number 2 car, Alan Slight.
Yeah, there might have been a little bit of a glimpse of that in turns 3 and 4, but Alan Slight, you see him getting pointed in the right direction. This isn't, all right, well, let's check it out here. We got Dean Meitzler, Dean Reynolds, the Dean's List getting into each other. Adam Hilton, they checked up a lot, actually. That probably is what's going to do it for them as they come. Oh, it's actually not. Jeff Sharp sent that way hard into the corner.
You can see where everything else stacks up, too, as a result. DeRitter, Slight, Hackett. My goodness.
Yeah, that was... I mean, that contact between the Deans definitely had a setup for this situation, but Jeff Sharp just sent that 28 car into turn 3 a little bit more than he needed to. And unfortunately, he gets into Dean, and the other Dean and the rest of them come in, and they're getting it set away and settled out in the rear end of the field right now. And I think we might go single file this time because we have done this. We have had a couple yellows back to back, and we're getting 10 to go, starting to be crunch time, and maybe even this will give an opportunity to Brandon Plank, just something different that might break the pattern of having Andrew Clark. Well, no, they're getting double filed up, so it's not going to break the pattern for Andrew Clark, but maybe gives another opportunity for these guys. So,
and a single file restart would only further his advantage, I feel like. But I think you're right. It would at least sort things out for Brandon to immediately be able to choose his own line, I think. Travis will probably be able to sit back and wait a second, because I think what Travis Miller needs to do here is allow Brandon Plank to battle the 98. I think that's the only way that we have a 3-way battle for this race lead, and I think that's the only way that 22 gets involved in this. Side by side, though, through the entire field, green flag displayed there atop the flag stand, 11 to go.
And Travis Miller, he slides right up in line. Andrew Clark very easily commending this race lead. Brandon Plank stays in second place. Scott Fritz, I think he's going to try to hold 4th, but growls down low.
And Porter. 4 wide out of turn 4. Porter falls back into contact, and there's crashing in the back. Yellow flag again. We're going to keep having to hype this up. Anytime we see the 17 and 45 make contact, as you can see, I don't think Jimmy Porter's happy.
I wonder. Brett seems to be giving him space right here. As everybody's going to slow down, I think they're going to try to let the pace truck catch everybody and pass them. We'll catch this replay back. Hopefully, we don't miss anything major with Rolls and Porter as we get this replay and see what they sort things out with on the racetrack. But you can see Hackett and DeRitter, Pacholski, they're 3 wide, going into turn number 3.
Oh.
And there's a little love from Matt DeRitter. Oh, Slight almost went upside down again.
Not been a great day to be Alan Slight, has it?
This just isn't a racetrack I think Alan Slight wants to remember from this season. When we came here for the second race of the season, I believe if I remember correctly, he got sent out of the feature by doings of other people. And unfortunately, this isn't going well for him either.
This is a look back at the restart. This is not live. This is still a replay. We're watching the black and orange 17. There's contact there. That sends the black and silver 45 up, and 4 wide, there's Porter. Just a couple of little door bangs. I wonder if they've got their mind on it. There's the pace truck joining the field. Thank goodness it's not solid, because the entire field would have been wiped out. And I think that's why you probably won't ever see the iRacing.com pace car become a solid motor vehicle. We'd be wiping out fields into turn 1 needlessly.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I'm sure iRacing would take the proper precautions and make sure that doesn't happen, but yeah, that's certainly a risk at the very least as the entire field gets ready to get back going. We'll have 10 laps to go this time, from 11 to 10. I'm really surprised we've not gone single file yet. Clark gets the restart, and Miller to the inside of Brandon Plank very easily.
Oh, yeah. Brandon Plank got a pretty poor restart comparative to what he's been able to do so far tonight right there. Travis Miller is going to capitalize, go to second place right now. Brett Rolls looking to the inside of Scott Fritz. That's a battle for fourth place as well as they come out of turn number 4 again. Clark commends the lead. Miller's still behind him, and looks like Plank may be trying to get that momentum back.
Gets down to the bottom side, digging, as it says, on his left rear quarter panel, I think anyways, as Rolls now going to work to the inside of that 77X. We're inside at 10 to go. It's crunch time. This is where we see lights out for these guys and sparks fly.
And right now, it seems like the epitome of who's made it work and who's made it not. I was watching Miller, Plank, Beagle. Those were the 3 guys who seemed like they were starting to come on with 20, 25 laps to go. They started moving up in the field, and you can see Travis Miller and Brett Rolls have gotten themselves to that front end. Another yellow flag coming out. That's Jeff Sharp getting things settled in a way in turn 2. That 28 car been involved in a couple incidents so far tonight, and add one more to that list as we'll catch a replay and see what happened.
We were cooking along on that restart until this one. It's going to happen as a result of contact with the number 3 and number 33, it looks like. They're 3 wide here in the 3 and 4. I don't see the 30, I don't see the 3 rather in all of this, so it must happen further up with Adam Hilton. And, Hunter Hallberg gets him turned around, that collects Riser, then collects Jeff Sharp. And
that's a pretty serious group of them at the tail end of the field. And so Jeff Sharp was not the perpetrator this time. He was simply a bystander. You're going to see another replay of it coming into the corner here. And these guys, I don't even know what to think about these guys right now. What's going through your head? You've been involved in a couple incidents. You're getting to the end of this race. You're still at the tail. You're trying to make something work and get a little bit further up in this one, and things just keep going wrong in front of you.
Yeah, Hunter there made some contact on the front stretch, and I don't know. That looked like an awful lot of steering to the right when they made contact. That didn't look like very much wheel input to the left, personally.
Yeah, I think if you encompass the front stretch, you look at the way the front stretch went when those 2 guys went into turn number 1. Maybe there's some frustration involved, but it seemed like they were doing okay up to that point.
And it looked like as well Hilton had to stay low because he had car. I'd have to watch back again and see if it was the outside on the front or the rear of the outside there, but it looked like he couldn't really go any higher, and he has to hang a little bit lower. And I've been there. I've been in those situations with other drivers on iRacing, and I've gotten frustrated because I just get hit. I don't know why, and you think it's malicious, but hey, we finally have a single file restart. That's going to change things up as green flag is back out. Kind of caught me off guard there. 6 laps to go.
And Brandon Plank got a great restart. He looks to the inside of Travis Miller. They race for second down the back straightaway. Brett Rolls right there. Might make it a 3-car race as Andrew Clark leads out of the corner, and he's got a little bit of breathing room right now.
Everybody working through 1 and 2. Now it's actually 6 to go. It was 7 to go at the start. Plank down to the inside. This is your battle for second. The entire top 10 starting to fan out and get after it here as Rolls goes to the inside of Miller, but the outside of Plank and really into the back end of the 77, and a caution comes out.
And this time, it looks like it's going to be Brett Haas. And I think we maybe give Brett Haas a pass, 'cause I believe this is the first or maybe second time Brett Haas is involved in an accident tonight.
And I dare say he got turned around. Usually the last car to leave a scene is the one that got turned.
Yeah. Here you see him on the outside of Joe Matthews. There's Correa, and he's right up to the tail of the 9 as they go into turn number 1. And we'll see, yeah, you're right. The all-knowing Andrew Cardinale, he calls it. Tanner Correa just comes into the corner a little hot, and Brett Haas gets turned around. He maybe had a little bit of help just from the fact that the 9 car was right in front of him, and it maybe stunted his speed a little bit, stunted his momentum, and allowed that to happen more fully. But
yeah, Matthews backed up to Haas, and Correa just kind of got through him. And everybody, man, it's so fascinating to watch everybody go up the racetrack at the same time trying to miss a crash at the bottom of turn 2.
Yeah, I actually liked that myself right there. I think that was Pachalski with Dean Reynolds.
It was kind of comical. Have you ever played City Skylines and seen the AI do weird things there in traffic?
Oh, there's all sorts of great stuff going
on,
man.
It's the same thing. That was pretty funny. Yeah. But hey, thankfully they missed the crash. That's the important part. They missed the crash there, and hopefully had no more contact with the outside, be it themselves or into the wall. It is 1 to green, I do believe, as Barney, the ever-trusting flagman, always standing right in that same position, is working overtime tonight. And yeah, pace truck lights are out. That signals we've got 1 to green. Call your shot now, Joe. 5 laps to go. Who wins this race? And you cannot pick the 98.
Oh, well, if I can't pick the 98, I'm going to pick the 77X. I think Brandon's realistically able to compete the most with Andrew Clark. So that would be my shot if I had to call one that wasn't the 98.
Green flag out. I said you can't pick the 98 because I picked the 98. Andrew Clark across the line. 5 to go. Fantastic restart.
Yeah, that was a really well-commended restart there. And, I wouldn't count Brandon Plank out just yet because look at him all the way to the bottom. He's kind of searching, kind of looking for a little bit of an advantage. He brings it into turn number 3.
Up the track.
Yeah, he slid all the way up to the top side. He blocked Miller's run, too, but he isn't catching that much on Andrew Clark.
Big gap here. Plank sails down to the inside. 4 to go that time. Made up a lot of room with how far up the 98 went. I mean, he is gaining, just not quite enough. Maybe it is. With the way the 98 has widened the groove, I think he might have a shot here. They're all the way to the wall here at Volusia. Never thought I'd see that. Oh, a caution! I think that's it. It's going to be so hard for anybody to do anything in 2 laps with Andrew Clark. I think that's it.
That's a good call to make. I think that's very fair, especially with the way these last couple restarts have been going. And Brandon Plank, I mean, he's got the car. He's fast. He doesn't have that first lap jump that Andrew Clark's been having these last couple of restarts, that the entire night even, actually, I should say. So this is the replay here, bringing back what caused the yellow. You see Pachalski and Wenner are getting very adamantly into things on the backstretch. And it actually didn't even come from Pachalski and Wenner. It was because of where Pereira ended up on the racetrack relative to these guys. Tyler Pachalski hit a lot of cars right there. I don't know. There's definitely...
Was it Harry Hodge? Why can't I think of the name? From Days of Thunder. Why can't I think of the name right now? The crew chief. Harry something or other. For some reason, it's escaping me. It sounds like he got told to go hit the pace car to be perfect. Because I mean, he gets hit a little bit there, and hits the wall. He turns right. That's unacceptable. Unacceptable in the last few laps of the race. Turn right on somebody on a straightaway. And then he hits Pereira. I'm sorry, but that's just... If that's intentional, it might not have been. I'll play devil's advocate for him here, but if that was intentional, that's unacceptable, and I'll call him out happily. If it's not intentional, I apologize.
I don't think the Pereira was as much intentional towards Pereira. He didn't get a... He had a...
No, I mean the contact with Wenner.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that is what it is. The part with Pereira, definitely... I can see where that's just kind of getting into the corner without your... He wasn't set up to get into the corner at all.
At that point, frustration was high, right? I mean, you're dealing with Mike Wenner, whatever just happened, and I think those two got mad at each other at Kokomo last week, too. We'll leave it where it is, because we've got to restart with 2 to go here. Obviously, you guys can draw your own conclusions from there and any further, but we've got a restart to focus on. Andrew Clark, Brandon Plank. Brandon is on him, and he wants good restart, all things considered, from Brandon Plank, but loses a lot of time regardless. Green flag is out, 2 laps to go. It's going to take a lot.
Yeah, and I think that was Brandon's opportunity to try to see what he could do with the restart and try to stay on the tail of Andrew Clark as they come into the corner. They come into turn number 3 at least, and they are side by side for second. Right now, Andrew Clark's still commanding the lead. The white flag was in by Tucson Sound Art, and they have 4 more opportunities, now 3 as they come through 1 and 2.
The top 3 separates. Side by side for second. Miller down low. Does he have enough to challenge for the race win? He's going to try. Down to the bottom of 3. Clark covers it up, drives deep into the corner, and at a turn 4, Andrew Clark is a race winner for the 2nd week in a row. Fireworks at Volusia, just a few days late for New Year's, but they're all for the number 98 of Andrew Clark. Again, a massively commanding win, and there's nothing, I think, to be at all disappointed in. He didn't have to race anybody dirty or anything. Not that he would have. He just is able to drive away from this field. He's got something figured out in big blocks that nobody else has.
Well, this is how he won Kokomo, too. I mean, just dominant performance. And again tonight, 2 in a row. Andrew Clark's really one of the hot shoes right now. There were fireworks all night long. Mind you, not just off the fireworks for the checkered flag. We had sparks flying and fireworks going on all night. But how about that top 3? Those were 3 very commendable drives from 3 very skilled drivers and very successful guys here with the BRP iRacing series. So props to them. It'll be interesting to see kind of what the rundown and cooldown is like after this race. But hey, in the meantime, let's give it to Andrew Clark. That was a heck of a job.
I think there's a few drivers hot under the collar further back in the field. We'll, of course, go through our race results here in just a few moments. Do not go anywhere. I would not suggest going to another Facebook or YouTube stream or anything like that, because if you want to hear from your favorite drivers in the series, the one thing you have to do is stick with us through this break. We'll be right back with post-race coverage of the BRP iRacing series, MDR Design 60 at Volusia Speedway Park.
Have you found yourself trying to hide your joy because you're unhappy with your teeth? Your smile is the first feature noticed in an interview, on a date, or in family photos. We want you to be able to shine bright as your best self, and our teeth whitening system is the perfect step toward restoring your confidence.
Sound Art introduces an entirely new way to listen to music in your home. By combining the best of 2 products, a revolutionary high-fidelity, low-profile Bluetooth wireless speaker with beautiful artwork. Select from a library of artwork or upload your own photos to personalize your experience. Sound Art ushers in an era of invisible, beautiful, and amazing sound throughout your home and redefines your entire entertainment system. The need to reclaim your floor space and rid your home of unsightly speaker boxes that need to be bolted to the wall is now a thing of the past. Our canvas is printed on high-quality permalite by Breathing Color. And select from our gallery or upload your own. Standard sizes include 16 by 20 and 18 by 24 canvas wrapped. Custom sizing is available, as well as surround sound options.
Welcome back to the virtual Volusia Speedway Park. We just saw another really good race. I think the end of the race was kind of anticlimactic given everything that we saw happen and given the battle we almost saw up front for the race win, but no fault certainly of the top three. They put on one hell of a show for this race win for the MDR Design 60. Eventually, the win, of course, goes to Andrew Clark. I don't think you can argue against him being the current best driver in this series. 2 wins in a row, the first to hit 3. Andrew, what do you have in a big block on iRacing that nobody else has right now? Because you found something.
Actually, my parents went out and for Christmas got me a new wheel, so I finally got some force feedback. So it's been nice to be able to run it here.
You know what? Fair enough. To be honest with you, I thought it was going a little more sarcastic. Oh, my parents went out and bought me talent for Christmas or something, but it works out. You've been so good, and you were good even with the old wheel. What is clicking, I guess, aside from just the wheel, or what is the wheel showing you that's working for you?
It's just kind of just staying focused, you know. The first half of the season, I was getting all bent out of shape if something happened to me or something, and it was kind of affecting how I was driving. So on this last 4 races, you know, I've won last 3 or 4 races, and I've just stayed focused the whole race, and that's definitely helped.
Yes, at least the last 2. I think I'd have to check. I don't know if it's the last 3, but regardless, I mean, you are on a hot streak like we have not seen in a while. This shapes you up pretty good for the points then. You come in quite a ways behind, 40 points back, but this is going to help you out quite a lot. How do you attack that then? Try to make up all those points to catch back up for the championship, especially when you've got the 2 that are leading right behind you.
Yeah, it was, I didn't really want to see them right behind me. You know, I know they're fast, and I was a little bit worried there. I knew they were going to put on a good race, and hopefully I would, you know, I did what I did. But I didn't want to see those 2 because I knew I was 40 points out, and I mean, it helped with being quick time and winning my heat and everything, but just to see those guys second and third didn't really help much in the points.
So I can confirm it was a win on December 13th at Cedar Lake, then a win on December 27th at Kokomo. Now Volusia, it's Lanier next up, and that almost feels like a culmination of every track we've been to so far. How do you attack it next week in Georgia?
Oh, you're definitely going to have to go put in some practice laps. It's been a little bit since I've been at Lanier with a big block. I think the last time I was there was when the officials went there like 3 months ago. So I definitely got to put some practice in this week, and hopefully me and Brett can lay down some good laps and come out, and he can maybe inch closer to the points lead, and I can inch closer to reeling everyone in.
So Andrew Clark with another fantastic performance, up and above the moon, this time at Volusia, 47, and I think that number is lower than it should be. I think it's darn near, if not 60. It's 59 or 58. Another really good one for you, Andrew. We'll see you next time out at Lanier, I'm sure. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And Andrew Clark, Joe, barely came ahead of Travis Miller here when it was all said and done. It might have been 3/10 or so over the number 22. He's next up, finishing second place.
And we're going to get to bring him in. Travis Miller, it's Joe Donahue with Pit Stop TV. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you guys.
All right, Travis. Well, hey, that was kind of a nice little snooker there at the very end of that race, and you used that last restart as an opportunity to get around that 77X. I know that you're thinking about that with the championship moving towards wrapping up at least.
Yeah, for sure. I kind of spun the tires on that second to last restart there, and Brandon was able to get around us. So I just kind of put all my cards in the stand on the bottom there, and luckily it worked out for us at the end.
And how do you attack races like this? You're looking at Brandon Plank in your mirror, at least, or maybe not exactly in your mirror, but sort of respectively in your mirror. You're looking at Andrew Clark ahead of you, and he is just tearing it up in the front. I mean, this is a track you've even spoken on being very strong and enjoying your time at. How do you attack this race knowing kind of the tornado of things that are happening around you, and how are you going to bring that forward? How are you going to keep trying to attack the 98 and 77X to hold this very small championship lead you have?
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I mean, even tonight, we just, I had a good line, and the last 10 laps, I really wanted to see a 10-lap end of the race there, green to checkered, because I found something at lap 48, and it was working really good. And then with all the cautions, I got lucky on 2 cautions starting on the outside there. That's where I wanted to be. And then it went single file. And when it goes single file, it's just so tough to pass. You got to guess where guys are going to go. You got to kind of work around them. And I found a good line there on the and just Plank was kind of running the opposite line, so it kind of worked out perfect for me. But I just didn't have enough laps to really reel in the 98. He was real consistent up there at the top.
Well, that he was, but we've talked about you, back to Bluegrass into this series with all the different cars. You're one of the most adverse drivers that we see coming out to racetracks every week. And, you think about, you were second in the championship, you lead the championship, you come to a track like Volusia, you like it here, you know how to get around the place, obviously, and you go into Lanier next time. I mean, how do you change things week to week, and how are you going to attack the race next week at Lanier to hopefully be able to keep up with and maybe get ahead of everybody else here and try to get a good performance and maybe get your second win of the season?
Yeah, I'm not too sure. It's definitely going to be difficult. I mean, these guys are really good week in and week out everywhere we go, and I'm not really the strongest at Lanier. It's a really odd track. It kind of encompasses a lot of different styles of racetrack in one, and it's just real tough to get a hold of. The lines change a lot, and I mean, we haven't really been there when if it's going to get this slick, because it's been real slick all season. So it's just going to be able to put in some practice laps, and hopefully we can be better than the 77 and the 17, and see what we can do.
Well, absolutely, Travis. This run you had right here, second place at the end of the night, we like victories, we like taking home the gold, but this is a very solid performance for you, and you gained points on Brandon, your second place in the championship, both in the heat races and in the feature tonight, so you extended that lead a little bit over him. That's got to feel pretty good. Tell us, who's helping you make this all work and get this 22 car in a good position to try to fight for this championship?
Yeah, I just got to thank Miller's Auto Detailing, Gaston's Auto Sales, Beef Esports for keeping me signed on, Jam Performance for great shock packages in real life, and thanks to you guys for putting this on, and thanks to Beef for holding the league. I know that some nights, even like tonight, when we get those multiple cautions, it gets real tough, and he was in race control tonight, and I know that he was getting a little agitated, and it happens. But we got a lot of good guys out here, and sometimes things don't go the right way, and it's just the way it is when we race. So I just got to thank him, and thanks to you guys.
Absolutely, Travis. Well, hey, congratulations again on your run, and we look forward to see what you have in store for us at Lanier next time. Hoping to keep this championship in a good fight and keep it alive for you.
Yeah, thanks, boys. Have a good one.
And same to you, Travis. And that will wrap it up with Travis Miller P2 tonight at the end. A little snooker job at the end there, Andrew, and you get to talk to the guy he got around and his main competitor in the championship, at least coming into the race. I don't know about how much, moving forward with this momentum that the 98 car has, but hey, you're going to get to talk to Brandon and see what he's got to say about the whole deal.
Yeah, you can say that Travis did the snookering and Brandon, unfortunately, was the one who was snookered. Brandon Plank, really solid race. Unfortunately, you come up one spot shy of where you ran just about the entirety of this MDR Design 60. What happened there on those final few restarts?
Yeah, it was just the restarts in general were tough, and trying to just kind of time Andrew and kind of when he was going to fire was hard to tell. He was kind of changing up his fire points, and just that initial gap that he got was so tough to try to kind of make up. And I could hear Travis coming, and he just slid me and couldn't recover in the time left. So it's kind of part of it. I had fun.
So overall, another really good point stain. I don't want to use that term too much. I know some racers hate that because that kind of came about when NASCAR racers started having to point race for the chase and everything. But it's a point state nonetheless. You chase Travis Miller, you race them all day long. He gets the best of you right there at the end, and I think the best of you in heats as well. How do you attack Lanier then and make that little gap up? It's not very large, but it's enough. It's enough.
Yeah, I gotta try to qualify better. That's last week I had some computer problems and wasn't able to take a lap, and this week I don't know. It just doesn't feel good in qualifying, and it seems to get better as the night goes on. And I think I just gotta practice some more, and just like anything, practice kind of makes perfect or improves the performance in general. So I just got to try to get some laps and try to stay ahead of that 22 and try to beat the 98. He's been fast, so those guys did a really good job tonight.
And Andrew credits his recent success to a new wheel for Christmas. What can you find in these next few races? What do you try and look for in practice to try and find whatever X factor you might be missing?
Yeah, I think that it seems like you just got to run races, practice races in general. You can put up as many practice sessions as you want, but the track kind of takes a different shape when there's a lot of cars out there. So I thought that I was going to be in the fight tonight. Those cautions made it tough. With about 20 to go, I really didn't want to see any of those cautions. I feel like I was going to have a shot at Andrew as I got the momentum going. But yeah, I mean, just gotta keep working at it. That's the fun thing about this game is the difficulty level is really high, and it's really easy to make mistakes. And that's something that is a challenge, and I think the challenge is kind of what makes it fun. So
there you have it. Brandon Plank, third place again, another podium. Just a stellar season that all three of you up front have had, and I look forward to seeing what you can find to try and best these couple of guys for the championship. It's gonna be a lot of fun to watch, and best of luck to you in it.
Yeah, thanks. It's been a lot of fun. Everybody, in the front, 5-10 cars has been really clean, and got to thank those guys really for making it so much fun with the clean racing. So thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Absolutely stellar stuff so far this season. Brandon Plank, one of those guys who has been stellar each and every step of the way. Joe, we've got some 26 cars to look at in our standings here. Well, I say our standings, our results from race number 9 on the season. Andrew Clark, far and away the best tonight. The restarts almost got the best of him with Brandon Plank and Travis Miller. I think if they'd had a few more laps on one of those restarts, I don't know which restart, but just a few more laps on one of those, they maybe could have gotten them. Unfortunately, they come up second and third. Brett Rolls there in fourth, Jamie Porter fifth, Ryan Beagle sixth, Joe Matthews seventh. A really strong top 10, even with Tyler Josh and Bowski in there, Dan Sider, and a very quiet top 10 for Gavin Eiseler.
Yeah, for sure. The bottom half of the top 10 definitely were pretty quiet and consistent and made some time up. I definitely like to see the Beagle made some really good time up at the very end of that race as well. You pop back into the second group of 10 for the field, though. You got Tyler Pachalski leading the way of that group, with Dean Reynolds, Matt DeRitter, Mike Wenner, and Michael Hackett making up the top 15. And those guys had been all over the place tonight. Ups and downs for everyone, but they all rebounded to get into the top 15. Dean Meitzler going to round out the night in 16th. Scott Fritz gets 17th after being up front at the very beginning of this race. That's a tough break for the 48 team. Brett Haas in 18th with the 55 machine. Tanner Correa going to be all the way back in 19th after a very strong start to the night with a heat race win. He ends up almost in 20th, but that 20th spot goes to Richard Pereira, who definitely had his fair share of the action tonight.
Further back, these guys at the rear, unfortunately, not great nights. Jeff Sharp, a little bit of contact a few times, finishes 21st. Alan Slight, I don't think made it to the checkers. Did not, unfortunately, 3 laps down in 22nd. Adam Hilton right there with him, 8 laps down, along with Hunter Holberg and Pat Reiser. I think they all got taken out in that same incident. That was probably the crash on the front stretch on that restart, if I dare say. Zachary Bardsley, with the way that car was looking mid-race, I'm not surprised, unfortunately, that he's 29 laps down, the very back of the field, 26th of 26 in the race. And who I really feel for in all of this? Corby Daniels, 27th. And I know that if he had been able to make the feature, he would have finished at least higher than last. I mean, that's unfortunately a lot of points that he just cannot accumulate for that 88 car. And being the one car of one, right? If it was a real track, you can make the argument, okay, well, we'll let the 27th car start anyways. But unfortunately, that's not the way it works on iRacing. You can't really edit that mid-session.
Yeah, and I mean, we saw the same thing last week with Mike Wenner, but Wenner got just eaten up by other people making mistakes around him. Corby had opportunity, and I'm not going to say it was all on him because, you're racing against a lot of other guys who are getting a little scrappy at the end of that B main to make the feature. But, luck comes around and goes back and flips corners and you pull a reverse card and things happen sometimes, if Corby can accept that and bring that into Lanier, maybe set his mindset in a good place and be able to rip, there and just turn it around, things ups and downs. It's all racing.
I see Scott Fritz chiming in over on Facebook. Racing is definitely a brutal sport. Coming to the white flag in 5th position, and unfortunately, in his own words here, run over once again. I feel definitely for Scott Fritz. Unfortunately, it's just kind of how it goes, especially a last lap charge. Everybody wants to get everything they can get, and I certainly understand it from each and every side there. We got upcoming broadcasts here at Pit Stop TV as per usual. In fact, 2 broadcasts tomorrow. Can you believe that, Joe? A double header on a Tuesday. I guess 2 is for 2 broadcasts. Anyways, we'll let that one slip. The BSR, that's British Sim Racers, MX5 Trophy Tuesdays tomorrow evening, I suppose, if you're in the UK, 8 p.m. UK, 3 p.m. Eastern, at Brands Hatch Circuit Indy Course, and then they'll do the same thing on Thursday with their TC cars with BSRTC, but in the middle of all of that is where you find a return. Yes, that is the Nork iRacing Series back on Pit Stop TV. No, this is not a full season. We've had, unfortunately, unlucky number 13 seasons in the Nork iRacing Series now, but we've got kind of a resurgence here for the month of January and one day of February. It's the month of Daytona, if you will, or really the month of Norktona, as they call it, and to kick things off, it is the 2nd annual Nork Classic. Joe, that means 87 cars at Daytona. But not just Daytona, Legacy Daytona, all of those bumps and all of those crevices in the track, they are there for those 87s trying to work around it. It is tough, and we've got all of it coming on all of our social media channels tomorrow.
Absolutely, and you're going to want to be able to keep up with it all across the board. You're going to see all sorts of great, different, and unique and interesting topics and points and headlines throughout the entire day, even, not just the event. But you go over to Facebook, Pit Stop TV, search it up. You can watch the live stream. You can keep up to date with updates throughout the day and throughout the race there. Twitter is the same deal. You get some nice action shots from the work of our social media guys. Emerson always does a great job here with the BRP series, and tomorrow is going to be nothing short at pitstoptv_ there on Twitter. You can go to Instagram at pit_stop_TV for more of the same and some awesome updates and action shots throughout the race. And of course, the YouTube page, the primary source, not the only source, but the primary source for the streaming of the broadcast. You can just search it up at youtube.com/c/pitstoptv1, or just search it up. Be sure to also click that little bell, get the notifications. It'll tell you when we're going live, and that's certainly going to be a good tool to use moving forward. You can keep in touch and make sure you're right on time for the start of all of the great races that we have across Pit Stop TV's broadcasts.
And you know what? It's funny you mentioned punching that bell and everything, because I hate to kind of fall into the rest of the YouTube category, but we were looking through some analytics for 2021, and I gotta thank a lot of you that have notifications on already, because there are a lot of you guys with notifications on, and that actually really surprised me when we were looking through those stats for 2021. By all means, certainly suggest that maybe you at least consider doing so yourself if you have not yet, including, subscribing to the YouTube channel. It helps us out a lot here at Pit Stop TV and lets us know that you guys are watching along and enjoying these broadcasts. It's been fun as always, Joe. Final thoughts then from the MDR Design 60.
Well, there was a lot going on in this race. I think the first half of the main was very well kept together and exciting. The heat races are always a good show, and I think that really shows where momentum is and can continue to go. So I look to Tanner Correa and Tyler Pachalski to maybe use that momentum in good hands when we go to Lanier. Obviously, Andrew Clark just classed the field tonight from start to finish. And it's always a great time. Love coming out with the BRP guys. I think, bringing the race back to Volusia, having 2 races on the schedule, seems like it worked pretty nicely into the favor of everybody. And, this might be something that the BRP iRacing series kind of considers moving forward. Just, this was a good move to be able to come back to Volusia. Yes. And it's a great track to do it at, too.
I'll keep saying yes.
Yeah, it was a good show.
I fully agree with your sentiment there, Joe. Everything you just said, yes. I love seeing Volusia on there a second time. It brings familiarity, whereas it almost feels like it's the first week every week, because we're always going to a new track that nobody really knows how the other driver is going to handle things for quite some time. this brought some familiarity where guys have raced here with this same group before, and where the league as a whole changes so much season to season, especially with the car changing. The driver base changes a lot. This was a good dose of familiarity, a good dose of getting everybody used to each other again at the same track they've already raced back on November 15th. So, yeah, very much a big fan of bringing on Volusia a second time, and would very much be a big fan of bringing on tracks like Cedar Lake and Weedsport a second time, I think, in the season. Really good stuff. Seriously, Corby, Matt, Hunter, everybody else with the series, good move there. Really enjoyed it tonight. This has been, as I mentioned, the MDR Design 60, and again, a big shout out to MDR Designs and all the partners here with the BRP iRacing series, and happy birthday to Mr. DeRitter. I didn't catch his name. I don't think Matt supplied me with his dad's name, but happy birthday nonetheless. Speaking of racing products, of course, the namesake of the BRP iRacing series, always here to help support and get things rolling for the BRP folk. You've got Jam Performance, of course, Lindy Direct, Creative Turnings, and the Super Dirt Car series. So many great partners that allow us to do what we love on these Monday evenings. Right there with them, allowing us to do what we love on these Monday evenings, are all of you, and a big shout out goes to all of you. A big thank you goes out to all of you watching this evening. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next time. I do want to, again, I jumped the gun a little bit there, Joe. A big thank you, of course, to our crew tonight, Joe Donahue on the mic with me, Emerson Arden on social media, and a big thank you to you guys for holding things down last week. I wasn't here. I was on my way back from a flight, getting back from Christmas, so the fact that these guys held things down so well last week really helped, along with the help of Ed Schurer on social media, so really good stuff. Can't wait to see you again. Hopefully it's tomorrow for the BSR MX-5s and the Nork Classic. We'll see you then.